This is Rock Leach with Social Fire. Rickey Smiley lends his voice to the whole Pastor Keion Henderson scandal. Now, he has a lot to say, but was this really a case of a known liar coming to the defense of an exposed liar? You don't want to miss this video. Now click that like button and that bell notification so you'll be notified every time we put out a new video while you prepare yourself for this video clip. And I'll come back with some commentary. Let's go.
I stand by him with that. I stand by him because if God is speaking and you need the room to be silent or whatever, and you've already had this conversation, with this particular person, as he said on the show, because that's the quote that everybody need to play. Everybody's showing what he did, but they didn't show. They're not trying to show what he said on Tamron Hall's show. They didn't set her down. She must be doing a lot of hollering. If anybody got to have a meeting with you about, just hollering, like if somebody just like he said on Tamron's show, if somebody just start clapping right now, just right now while we're talking or whatever, that's a disruption. Or whatever. And sometimes you just have to have order when you're trying to accomplish something. I don't think he was being mean to her. He have a relationship with her, obviously, because after 4 years she hadn't left. She's still there. She's been there. You know what I'm saying? She's still there. So that's something they got going on, and somebody caught it and took it and put it out of context. And I'm going to stand tight with my friend. That's my good friend. We talk, we text. He prayed for me. He prayed for us. And they listen to the morning show. And we love the church, the Lighthouse Church in Houston, and him and First Lady Shani. We love Pastor Keion, period. And I stand with my friend.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. But the people out there,
mama! Now, that was a real good interview on Tamron Hall show. If you watch the whole interview, it was real good. And the way he explained it, it was really deep. It was profound. It was respectful. But sometimes, when you're trying to accomplish something, that's like we on stage performing or whatever, and somebody come up to the front and start just with their camera phone, stand in the middle of the audience and start taking pictures at the front row. And what that does is it takes attention off the comedian who's trying to present a joke, right? Yeah. And so what if everybody got up and came up to the front of the stage and started taking pictures with their camera phone? How can you get the joke across? Then when you're distracted, the people don't laugh, right? And then it's the assumption that you're not funny. Well, you're not funny because no eyes are on you. Everybody's looking at the person that's standing in the front of the stage. And like all pastors been saying in all these different churches for years, what we say, Gary, do not some things, do all things decent and in order. And govern yourself, what?
Accordingly.
Accordingly to the order, though.
Yes, Lord. Yes,
govern yourself accordingly to the order. And out of all you're getting,
get an understanding.
And that's what the conversation was for. So once you got to understand it, then you have an order to follow, and you need to govern yourself according to that order. Period. Right. Now, I hate to say this, black people, a lot of black folks are sensitive and do not like correction.
Yeah.
And get mad at correction.
Now, this whole commentary is about, and this whole story is about when Pastor Keion Henderson went to the woman, walked up to her during service and snapped his finger at her and told her to hush. And they were on the Tamron Hall show, and he gave his side of the story, or more importantly, he just doubled down on what he did. Now, actually, the Tamron Hall show was supposed to be about Shani Henderson's new book, where she supposedly inside of the book said that she never was in love with Shaquille O'Neal. Now, that's an inflammatory statement when you have several children by this man, but it lends more view. Actually, it actually tells us some things about her and Pastor Keion Henderson's relationship, because this may be a business merger, because if she can be with a man previously, Pastor Henderson, if she could be with a man previously like Shaquille O'Neal, have children with him, be with him all these years and never one time was in love, that says that it was more about business than it was pleasure. It was more about business and romance, because what we know she did get out of that relationship is a bunch of money. All right. So is your relationship with her, Pastor Henderson, is your relationship a business merger, or is it a real relationship because I, as a man, could not have went to a moment where my wife was to be celebrated about her accomplishment in her book and then insert myself because of what's on social media into her interview, because all we know about that interview, even though it was about a book, the most thing that we're seeing around social media right now is this response by Pastor Keion Henderson, not the book. Don't nobody care about the book. We only know about what you said because that's what everybody's talking about. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up. But Rickey Smiley gave his view on this as well. And he talked about, that they are basically good friends. He said that they are good friends, and for me, from my point, it seemed like this more or less affects his bottom line. He didn't want this to. He said they talk, they text, and is his good friend. He came to his defense, Pastor Henderson's defense. Now, we can't get Rickey Smiley. We can't forget about him with the Cat Williams interview. I mean, his integrity with the truth will always be under suspicion. When he talked about the Friday movie and actually said that Money Mike he was supposed to play Money Mike, and Cat Williams came out and said, no, sir, you were not. And then Ice Cube came out and bagged Cat Williams at what he said, that Rickey, it just wasn't true. So Rickey, your integrity with the truth is always under suspicion. Now, one thing that he said, he brought up, and I do want to bring this back up and kind of reiterate on it. I've made several videos about this same thing. Rickey Smiley said that when God is speaking, you need the room to be silent. Now, Rickey, you did say that in this interview you gave. But then Keion Henderson, after he checked the lady and he said all he wanted to hear was God, then he kept singing. Sir, Pastor Henderson, do you believe that you are God? If you believe that you are God, you believe you're the voice of God, why didn't you get quiet or at least say, speak God? Do you believe could it have been that God was speaking through the lady? We don't know. I think that it's bad when we feel like God, and I know biblically it speaks about how God will speak and how he doesn't speak, but God speaks how he chooses. And if we're not careful, we'll start calling the things of God Satan, and it's just a bad thing when we do that, because that's just bad. Now, I'm trying to move through this as fast as I can, but you said, Rickey Smiley, in here 4 years, and if we go to that, because Pastor Keion Henderson did say 4 years, but 2 of those years were COVID years. Come on. You said 4 years, y'all been dealing with that 4 years, sir, Pastor Henderson. 4 years ago, we were in COVID. We were all on Zoom calls. We were all, Zoom meetings and, doing church live streams where it was just a small group at the church just for the benefit of the stream. Was she in the Zoom church, in the Zoom meeting screaming? On the call? I'm just saying. That's basically what you're saying. Was she in the chat screaming? 4 years ago, that's what was going on. Just which adds to more of the lie. Pastor Keion Henderson, you're lying, and Rickey Smiley is just backing you with these lies. Rickey also said that Pastor Keion has a relationship with her. Now, that's my question, and people in my community are actually questioning that as well, because the only thing that I could think of that would cause a man to use such bad judgment is when they have an inappropriate connection in that relationship. And let's go even further. That's probably the reason why this lady hadn't left, if he have in fact been correcting her for so many years. What makes it okay for a man to come up to a woman? I'm going to go even further because we don't know. Is this woman married? So let's add that caveat there. If she is married, what would make a man comfortable with coming up to a woman, not knowing, or if he is knowing that she's married? Because if that had been my wife, I got to pause right there. Sir, being the pastor, I understand and I appreciate you, but if you'd have brought that level of disrespect and embarrassment to my wife, that would have been a whole problem. So the reason that I, as a pastor, don't do that to women, even when they are out of line, is because that's what I don't do that at home. And if I don't do that at home, I'm not doing that to another woman. So I have to question what Pastor Keion Henderson doing at home, because if you'll snap your finger, that suggests impatience. And if it suggests impatience and you can do that in public like that and don't mind embarrassing people like that, I've got to question how far you'll go with the level of abuse. It's just a whole lot of things that's going on here. I just believe that I don't believe Pastor Keion Henderson is a called pastor. I think this is what we see when people are in positions they don't need to be in. Somebody said in the comments, and I've got to give a shout out there, they said everybody with a microphone is not a pastor and every building is not a church. But I want to know ultimately, what do you think about this whole ordeal? I want you to jump down in the comments and let me know what you think about what Rickey Smiley had to say about Pastor Keion Henderson and what you think about this whole scandal. Get in the comments. Let's go.